Rahim, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Nakibullah. I am principal of the Asian Grammar School, Pishin. Today's guest is a rare blend of science, strategy, and storytelling, Zaid Faridi from the United States of America. A writer, a scientist, and the president of Chemconsult International, a global industrial chemical consultancy firm making waves across industries. Born in Karachi and now based in Oak Lawn, Zaid Faridi's journey spans in terms of discipline, educated at prestigious institutions like DePaul University and Roosevelt University. He has combined his scientific expertise with sharp business acumen and added to it the art of writing and thought leadership. He is also the author of The Second Islamic Renaissance, a thought provoking book that reflects his vision of intellectual revival in the Muslim world. His story is proof that a curious mind can travel far, from labs to boardrooms, from research to writing, all while staying deeply connected to his roots. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining my live podcast. I welcome you to the Experts View live podcast, sir.
My pleasure.
Sir, my first question is I wonder if you could just tell about your education journey. You started from Quetta, then in Karachi, and then the United States of America. Could we have some words about your educational journey, please?
Sure. Uh, I have to go back to my father. So that'll explain, why I had this journey. My father was a very highly educated person. He had 3 degrees from Aligarh University before the partition, before Pakistan was created. And even though he came from a farming community, but he was very much into education. And when Dawn newspaper, when Qaid Azam started the Dawn newspaper, he was among the first staff, editorial staff of the newspaper. So he was highly into education. But what happened is that on August 14, 1947, the Dawn newspaper had a heading that says Pakistan is reality. So what happened is the Hindu mob, didn't like that, and the arson set the newspaper office on to fire, and arson the whole building. My father was young man. Was in his 30s. Jumped out of the second story and ran for his life. And when he came to his house was on fire too. Certain the same mob. He didn't live too far from where his office was, and they set his house on fire too. And through running through that blaze, he took refuge in a masjid. But anyway, so after that, the next year in 1948, Dawn newspaper moved to Karachi. And my father was heavily into Muslim League, and he was one of the silent pioneer of Pakistan, because Dawn was considered as the voice of Muslim League and voice of Pakistan and voice of Jinnah. So he came to Karachi, and so in 1948 I was born. Unfortunately, that was the time that we didn't have very good schools, and Karachi was just a small town. Karachi was not a very big. It has some institutions and all, but it was nothing like Lahore, Delhi, Bombay, or anything like that. Not. So there was a scarcity of schools, and my father wanted to get me a very high education. So there was a missionary school run by Europeans in Quetta. It was for girls, St. Joseph's, but it has a small section for boys. for primary school. So he sent me there. So I had a solid background from that school. But after a few years, I had to come back because it was only until the fourth grade. After fourth grade, they didn't take boys. So I came back to Karachi, and then uh, I went to PAF Public School, Sargodha, where I had some education. Where I was going to become a GDP, but I don't want to go into the details that my dream didn't come true. So after that, finished my education in Karachi, and I went to a DJ college where I got my bachelor's. DJ Science was the top college in Karachi. Probably you heard of DJ Science College. And so I received my degree from there. And then for 2 years, I searched for, uh, as you want to say, a job, and I couldn't find one. Uh, in the meantime, my father died in a plane crash in Cairo in 1965. A plane crashed where there were a lot of journalists on it, and he passed away on it, unfortunately. So I have here's the family. I was the oldest, I had a lot of responsibilities, and also I decided to come to US. And I always wanted to get higher education, and so I came to the United States, and all. As a naive little young guy, I thought, once I go to, I lost you, sir. Oh, and you bet. So I was very naive, and I thought once you get to America, uh, I'll find gold on the streets and gold and silver on the streets and all that. So young, I was barely 21 years old. So when I came here, I had faced a lot of difficulties because I had no financial background to help me out with my education. So Chicago, I've lived in Chicago most of my time. I've lived in Cincinnati and Florida also, but majority of time I've lived in Chicago. So I started at Roosevelt University, but I didn't have money to continue my education. I started working in a factory as a laborer. My job was to load and unload trucks and all. So nothing wrong with that, and I'm very proud of it that I did that. And so I started my education at Roosevelt University. The greatest thing about Roosevelt University, it's a commuter school. It's people like me, who don't have much background. So they offer even the science classes at night time and weekends. So during the day, I work as a laborer, and at night I went to Roosevelt University and got my degree in chemistry and biology, double major and all. And then I, obviously that America is a land of opportunity. So I found a position with a company. It was an automotive paint company as a research chemist, junior research chemist. Uh, but not much was going there. So I quit that place, and I started working for a Japanese company as a senior chemist. So there, I developed a product for automotive industry, which was a green product. It has normally this product has 45% solvents, and I replaced the solvents with plasticizers and all that, and it works just as good. And so I was not polluting atmosphere, or I was not polluting water or soil. So the Japanese people were very, very impressed that what I my invention, and I got a patent on it. So after that, I was promoted to a manager, a lab manager, and from there, and then they sent me to Osaka, Japan, where I learned the Japanese technology, and I taught them the Japanese people. I taught them the American, even though it was same company, but we had two research center. One research center was in Chicago, the other was in Osaka. So I went back and forth, every time I needed to learn Japanese technology. I would go there and learn, and whatever we were doing in the US, we would go and relate to them and all. So time went on, and then I became, after lab manager, I became technical director. Then I left the company and I went to a plastic industry where I don't know if you're familiar with how plastic is colored. Are you familiar with that? Okay, plastic is colored by what they do is, let's say you are coloring acrylic resin. So what they
Mm,
do is they take the acrylic resin and they put a very high concentration of pigment, very simple technology. And then when you're molding, let's say a chair or a toy or something out of plastic or a
mm,
plate or a glass, something. So they take 5% of that
mhm,
colored beads, and 95% of virgin resin. And then, so then they mold whatever you want to mold. But America is a country that is just a restless place. They always want new technologies because they want to stay competitive ahead of the world. And also, but that's not just for show or ego, but where they can save the money and make the most money, most profit. So the problem with the plastic is, with the beads, is that if you have the beads for acrylic, you can use only in acrylic. If you have beads for polyethylene, that you call polyethylene in Pakistan, we call it polyethylene. So if you want to use in polyethylene, you have to make the beads in polyethylene. If you want nylon, you have to make it in nylon, and all. So if a company is using all different plastics, the company has to keep a tremendous amount of inventory. So which is expensive for the consumer as well as the manufacturer. So the need was that we developed a universal color that can be used into anything. And the only way we could do it was liquid. Now the question was, what liquid should we use? We cannot use water in plastic. Plastic and water won't mix together and form bubbles in the plastic. And we could not use solvents because when it goes through the machine is running at 350 Fahrenheit, which would be about 650, 700 C, yeah, or more. So if you put solvent, they'll catch fire, and that's very dangerous. So we had to work with some chemicals that were not dangerous, that won't burn. They were universal. They would work into every plastic, easily available, not dependent on foreign oil, and also
mm.
there were a lot of things.
Right,
So I was one of the pioneers. We developed very basic for, this is I'm talking about in the 70s.
right.
So we developed a liquid colors. I was one of the pioneers of, it was a whole group, not just myself, but a whole group of scientists, of chemists, we worked on it and all. So I was working for a plastic company. Now I had left the Japanese company and went to the plastic company, and we
Right.
developed this liquid color, which I also brought it in Pakistan later And
Mm.
in Pakistan, there's a company in Karachi that is using that liquid color right now.
Right.
But what happened is, as everything is coming from China, so plastic industries start dying in America, and I feared that I will lose my position, my job, then I'll have to start all over again. So I said, before something like this happens, I must find, another home for myself. So I went into the construction, into special construction chemicals. It is called the decorative concrete. Have you heard of stamped concrete?
Stamped? No, I've never heard about it.
Concrete is that we add special chemicals into
Mm.
concrete and make the concrete very strong. And
Mm.
then we lay the concrete like regular concrete, but there are some big nylon and polyurethane stamps with designs in
Mm.
it, like
Okay.
brick or cobblestone and all. And we press it into the by using a machine that we press it into the concrete, and it gives you all those designs.
Right.
And it looked like a brick, or
Mm.
cobblestone or pavers, but it's actually concrete. So the cost of it, if you put pavers, the cost of stamped concrete is one fourth. So in the
Right.
US, labor and everything is so expensive. So in the US, people are always looking for the cheapest and best way, and they're always looking for innovative and new things. People get
Right. Okay.
tired of the old
Okay, sir.
principles.
I'm sorry to intervene. I'll just put a question because you said something that the plastic industry is dying in the United States. Do you think that is just because of the high prices?
No, because all the plastic parts. Now, if you have a phone in your hand or your computer, that's made in China. So
Yeah, yeah.
practically everything is made in China today.
Mm.
So 90% of the plastic products are made in China. So Chinese products were very inexpensive. So the Chinese product took over the American market
Right. Okay.
and all. So that's why the plastic industry was dying. It's coming back, but it'll never be like what it used to be
All
in the
right.
70s and 80s.
Okay.
Before the
Fine.
Chinese products start coming in.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for the insight. Yes, sir. I'm pleased to know that you have spent some years of your life in Quetta as well. That is
Oh,
my that is my hometown. Thank you so much.
Quetta is
Sir,
your hometown. Okay.
yes.
My school was on Thandi Sadak.
Yeah, yeah. It is near Shara. It is not known as Shara Khojak.
Okay, so there's a post office right next to the post
Yes,
office is a river,
exactly. Yes, yes.
and
That's near the post
and
office.
right next to the river is was the school.
Right. Yeah. But now, unfortunately, there is no river.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah, yeah. It is quite changed. We have scarcity of water right now in Quetta. We are facing this issue. Sir, my next question is: was there a defining moment in your life when you realized science and business can actually go hand in hand?
When did I realize I wouldn't be exaggerating if I say from a very young age? I always wanted to, deep inside, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, a businessman.
Mm.
And in the US, when I came to the US, I said, this is a very good opportunity to become a businessman as well as, a scientist and all. And I just felt I can be more competitive, or I can produce products much faster because I myself is a chemist. So if an industry needs something and it is feasible and it is not too expensive to produce it, I will have the idea. So before a company that president or the owner of the company who's not a chemist
Hmm.
will think about it, sit down with his staff, talk to them about it and all. So by the time they finish the meetings and all, I would already develop the product. See?
Hmm.
So I would have an edge on it. So when I came to the U.S. Right at that time, well, I shouldn't say when I came to the U.S. Later, when I went, actually, I wanted to go into medicine, but
Hmm.
medicine was not feasible for me. But then, when
Hmm.
I entered the field of chemistry, then I realized that sometime down the road, I must have my own company. And so this is when I thought of it. But there were a lot of hurdles, there were a lot of problems. I had a family to raise. And as you know, if when you work for somebody, you don't make too much money, you don't have uh, extra money, expendable money that you can start your own company. Uh, so I couldn't do it until very late in my life and all.
Right. Fine.
Right. So that's when
Okay.
but it was back in the back of my mind. It never left my mind.
Hmm.
So I said, I have to fulfill my dream.
Okay, fine. Sir, one thing is quite surprising for me, and I think for most of us, the Chinese industries are occupying business places in most areas of the world. US industries are considered and were considered among the best and the leading industries. Why is that happening so? Why is the Chinese company? In 2008 and 9 I was in London. So
Okay.
I was in search of a camera. I went and visited many shops, but wherever I went, I got a camera that was made in China. Even in London, in the Oxford Street.
Right.
Why is that happening? Why is the US and the other civilized or developed countries can't compete China?
Very, very good question. Very good question. It's all economics, and all economics work because the world businessman is one community. And what has happened is that when you manufacture something in the US, it's 4 to 5 times more expensive than when you produce it in China. So what happens is there's a lot of politics here too. In the U.S., what was happening to compete with China, they were hiring people who were crossed from Mexico and Guatemala and all these places. They were undocumented people. They had no citizenship or green card or anything and all. But the American industry manufacturers, they had unions and all, and they were using these people to keep the prices low. But then when Ronald Reagan came into the office, he decided and he said, that the undocumented workers from Latin America, they cannot work into the U.S., so they were all deported and all. And what happened is that the U.S. Manufacturers, they could not find workers. When I started working in the factory, this was the condition in the US that if you quit your job in the morning, by afternoon you had another job.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Right.
how big demand was because they couldn't find workers. But the politicians, just for their own sake, they screwed the whole industry and all. And so what happened is when these companies could not find um, workers. So they said, okay, we'll go where the workers are. And they took their factories and their companies. First, they took it to Latin America, And then they discovered that China was even cheaper than Latin America. So actually, most of the company, 90%, I wouldn't say 90%, but 80% of the companies that are in China, they actually Americans, American and Germans. They're just exploiting Chinese labor. But the company, the actually the money is going into Bank of New York and Bank of London and Dutch Bank and all. So so yes, China is very rich because Chinese government, you have to have 51% Chinese investment and 49% foreign investment. So now something that was produced in the US for, let's say, $1,
Yeah.
now they were able to produce it for 25 cents,
Mm.
even by bringing into the US and all that, and it's still the product was very inexpensive. I mean,
Right.
even today you can buy a pair of shoes in America for $20.
Mm.
But if that same shoe was made in the US, it will be over $100.
Oh, that's quite surprising.
Right. Now T-shirts come from Pakistan and they
Mm.
or Bangladesh and all, and they can sell it for $5 and $4. But if these T-shirts were made in the US, the T-shirt will be $20. Now who would pay $20 for a T-shirt to wear under your shirt?
Yeah, yeah, that's quite
So
expensive.
this is what
So,
happened.
so, sir, how do you see the condition now? The U.S. is again deporting many foreign citizens from the United States, which is considered to be the cheaper labor. So, again, if they move to their countries, will they find cheap labor, or what will be the impact of these steps of the United States of America on the prices? Will they not increase?
No, uh, this is just hogwash. What Trump is doing, by putting tariffs and all that.
Hmm.
Even look at this. He's deporting people,
Yeah.
but he wants to start manufacturing in the US. So we'll be at the same scenario. You don't have workers. You will have factories, beautiful
Mm.
factories, machinery, everything and
Mm.
all. But you don't have workers. Even if you robotize it, you put robots and all,
Mm.
it's still you need human being to run the companies and work in the companies. So there's going to be devastating failure of what Trump is doing and all. But forget about this.
Yeah.
American labor is very, very expensive. American labor will charge $20 an hour just
Oh,
to make T-shirt.
right.
He charges $20 an hour. How can you make T-shirt or underwear in the
Mm.
U.S.? You make the shoes, even if you put 25% or even more tariffs on Chinese goods will still be cheaper
Yeah.
than American manufacturer. What these people don't understand that the US is always a pioneer of new technology.
Mm.
US has passed the manufacturer. US has given the manufacturing of commodity products or everyday use products to the world.
Mm.
We started about 100 years ago. Now you do it. US is into high tech,
Right.
AI,
Mm.
or electronics and space, aerospace, and all that. This is where the Trump administration should be concentrating. Not we are going to make shoes here and all. So that is going to destroy this country.
Okay, right.
Absolutely.
Sir, you are a writer too. How did writing enter your life, and what role does it play in shaping your ideas?
I grew up in a home where my father was a journalist,
Mm.
so it's in my blood.
Yeah,
So I used
exactly.
to watch my father and all that. So I always had this knack for writing. So I used to write articles. And now, when I retired, I decided to write books. And my first book was just published. And people who are interested, they can get it on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And here's
Mm.
my first book, if you can see it.
Oh, yeah,
It's
that's
called The
wonderful.
Second Islamic Renaissance.
Renaissance.
Okay,
Okay.
why I have chosen this title, I'm sure you will be wondering.
Mm.
When Muslims today are the most backward people
Yeah.
when it comes to science. The
Yes.
reason I have started because Muslims are now divided into Western
Mm.
Muslims and Eastern Muslims. Western Muslims are way ahead um, into technology and all that. As a matter of fact, one of the most successful people in the US are the Muslims.
Mm.
Yes, whether it's medicine, whether it's
Mm.
chemistry, whether it's physics, education,
Mm.
economics. So Muslims are very, very highly educated. You won't find a Muslim who does not have a college degree. And even though there is some animosity against the Muslim, but is still in the higher rank or in the education world, they don't look at Muslims as the enemy. They look at Muslims as their friend because the Muslims, Western Muslims, are highly educated and they need these people.
Yeah. Okay.
So we are working together. For instance, one of my nieces, she works for NASA and
Mm.
she's in the team that is this team is working on it that someday they're going to take a man on the Mars.
Mm.
So this team is working on it. How are we going to do it? How are we going to take this man to Mars and bring him back? How it'll cost enormous amount of money, enormous amount of money. How we can
Mm.
make it cheaper? It'll take huge, very long periods. So how we can do it? So there's a Pakistani scientist. I
Mm.
forgot her name, but I have it in my book. She discovered that even the space has gravity, gravitational force. Planets have gravity, sun has gravity, but its space itself has gravity, and it shrinks and expands, shrinks and expands. So those waves, they're going to use those waves to send the let's call it rocket, and let's call it capsule, spacecraft. So those waves, they are going to use those waves to give the a slingshot,
Mm.
Hulel. So
Yeah.
they'll give a slingshot effect. So those waves will push that spacecraft and all that. And this is something a Pakistani woman has discovered. So you see
Oh.
how far the Muslims on the West have reached. But on the other hand, the Eastern Muslims, there's not much going in the East, whether it's Pakistan or
Yeah.
Egypt or even in Turkey, there's not much going into science and medicine and all that. And so my book concentrated that the first chapter of my book is that it is a misconcept that Islamic Golden Age started in the 8th century. Actually, Islamic
Mm.
Golden Age started when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sitting in the cave and praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Jibreel came and he said, Iqra, read. And Prophet Muhammad said, I am not a man of letters. I cannot read. So Jibreel said, I will teach you how to read. So Jibreel taught him how to read. And you see this Islam starts by the word read. And unless you have education, how can you read? Right? When a lot of people says no, education is not very important and this and that, over and over and over, the Quran emphasized on education and all. And
Yeah,
then when
exactly.
Prophet Muhammad was educated, um, he went to the people to preach. And the
Mm.
people said that all the other prophets, they had miracles. You don't have a single miracle. So how can we believe that you're a
Mm.
prophet? He says, does any one of you know how to read? He says, none. He says, go
Mm.
learn how to read. So few people went and to
Mm.
read, and he gave the Quran to these people when they read, and they realized this is not just book of worship, but it is a book of science also. Because Quran has science everywhere in every single chapter and all. So when people say that Quran is against science, they
Mm.
don't know Quran and all. So the Arab were divided into 28 tribes who were killing each other, murdering
Yeah.
each other. So the
Mm.
Prophet Muhammad, what he did, he brought 28 tribes together and he started giving him not only the Quranic or the Islamic education, but he brought people who could teach them mathematics, that could teach philosophy, logic, and all that, and all. And through the logic and education, he created a new nation that was called the Arab nation. And within 100 years, a new nation, rose into Hijaz, where they conquered from Western India to Spain and all that, just
Okay.
through the miracle of education.
Yeah, that's
So
that's true.
yeah, so that is
That's
my first chapter. Then the second chapter is I have covered all the scientists and medicine men and doctors and surgeons that were Muslims, like Ibn Sina, Ibn Khaldun, Ibn Baja, Ibn Tufail, and rest of them and all that. And I have um, given a little bit details about what they did, who they were. For example, everybody thinks Umar Khayyam was a poet. Actually, Umar Khayyam was a poet, but he was a mathematician. He's the one who invented the Georgian calendar that the Christians took it and they call it that the Christians invented. No, it was Umar Khayyam who created the calendar that we use, the whole world that uses a calendar like this. So I've given details about about all these philosophers and mathematicians. For example, a logarithm. What is a logarithm? A logarithm is nothing but the numbers. The Europe didn't know what zero was. He gave them the zero, and today, if you look at the computer language, what is that? Computer language is zero and one.
yeah, exactly.
And if he had not given them zero, there would be no computer. You sitting 12,000 miles away from me, and it seems like I'm sitting right across from you.
Yeah.
All because, yeah, all because of that. So you see the contribution Muslims made.
Mm.
So I've
Yeah.
given that details. Then after that, I'm giving showing the modern period where I have given the example of only 16 Muslim scholars, Western
Mm.
Muslim scholars, and all their names and what they have done and all that. So the
Right.
Eastern Muslim will know that Muslims are not behind anyone and all, and
Mm.
that is what I'm calling the second Renaissance because. Well, I give credit to Sir Syed Ahmad Khan because if he wasn't there, this light wouldn't have lit. We would um, Muslims of India would have just vanished, and all that.
S-
So anyway, uh,
sorry, sir.
yeah,
I have a
just
question related to your this conversation. I have a question. Yes, we have all good Muslim scientists, but they all live in European countries or in the United States. We don't have any good Muslim scientists in Pakistan or any other Muslim country. Why is that so? Yes, we know there are Muslim scientists, but they all are highly educated in the US, in Japan, or in any other developed country. Why we don't have scientists here in
why
our
don't
country?
we have? What is our government doing?
Yeah,
Any nation that becomes big has to have a good leader. It's like if I'm a shepherd and I have a flock of sheep, I have to be a good shepherd, or other the wolves will come and eat my sheep, right? So, not a single Muslim country has a leader except for Bangladesh that's taking the country into the right direction. And even Bangladesh is not taking it in the right direction. There's no emphasis given to education. In I spent most of my time in Karachi. Karachi University was used to be one of the best universities in the world. And look at Karachi University today.
it
It's
is
nothing
destroyed.
but but it's nothing a arena of politics. That's it.
Mm.
And all education. There's no education and all. Okay, people who have money, they take O levels and A levels and all and all. Okay, children of rich people. But average Pakistani, what does he do? What kind of education does he get? What do you call that education? So what happened is,
Mm.
like I got frustrated. I had a degree from DJ College, the best college in Karachi, but I could not find a job because I had no backing. Nobody, जिसको हम लोग सफारिश कहते हैं, nobody would help me and all that. So I had to leave the country.
Yeah.
Yet I came to Pakistan 4 times
Mm.
and I've given 4 different technologies to Pakistan. 4 different, and I don't charge much when I come to Pakistan. I mean, when I'm in the US, I charge according to American standard. But when I come to Pakistan, I do not charge according to American standard
Right.
because my let's put it, my dream is not to make money, but my dream is to give technology to my country, which is
Mm.
I am American, okay. I've
Yeah.
been American citizen since 1976, but I still
Mm.
consider myself Pakistani.
Yes.
And I get frustrated. I go to Pakistan, I take the technology and all. Nobody takes me seriously and all that. I get frustrated and I come back, yeah, and all. And
Yeah.
they are scientists in America, in Pakistani and Muslim scientists, that my mouth, when I talk to them, my mouth opens up and says, how can somebody be so smart? And
Oh,
I
mm.
consider myself to be a pretty good scientist. But there are
Mm.
scientists, Muslim scientists that are so intelligent, so smart. Hundreds of them are retired, sitting home like I'm sitting home doing nothing.
Mm.
These people can go, if our government take interest in it, that people are ready to give, the Western technology and make Pakistan competitive to the Western world.
Hmm.
But Mr. Sharif has to get off of this chair,
Okay,
right?
sir, fine. Thank you so
I
much.
don't want to get into politics and all
Yes.
because, right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Yes, sir. Thank you so much for your time. Now I have last question from you. I wish
Yeah.
I could ask you so many questions, but inshallah, in our next episode, we will take you on board and we'll go live again and we'll discuss and have conversation about so many other things and issues in Pakistan. One study says that at least 10 lakh intellectual from Pakistan are leaving Pakistan every year, and that is one of the shocking news. And we are definitely behind this, and our politics is definitely behind this. But anyway, I am not going into that. My last question from you is that what advice would you give to young entrepreneur from Pakistan who want to build a global presence like you did?
What I would like to do is that we have a forum, some kind of forum like this, where the Eastern Muslim and Western Muslim they exchange ideas. Okay, Eastern Muslims, the problem is nobody. It's they are like yatim or yasir. Nobody's taking care of them, and all. So Eastern Muslim, I am actually an Eastern Muslim because I was born there and all that. But they have ideas and all that. But those ideas stays in their mind because there's nobody to exploit their idea. So what I would like to do is some kind of a forum where the Eastern Muslims and Western Muslims they exchange ideas. The Eastern Muslims learn from Western Muslims and Western Muslims learn from Eastern Muslims. Like my daughter, she's a teacher and she has a special kind of education. What she has done is that, like on Zoom or something like this, she takes her class and she goes all over the world. Just about a few months ago, it was Nigeria. Some school she found in Nigeria, and the teacher there, and they started the Zoom, and they don't interfere. They just sit and listen. They let the children, the American children and Nigerian children, talk to each other. So for one, they understand. Everybody in the world thinks America is a very rich country. No, America is not a very rich country. And in America, they think, oh, the third world country is a very poor country. No, the third world country is not poor. Third world country has political problems, but they are not poor countries. So they have ideas and all that. So she does it with different countries and all. The problem she's been unable to do it with Pakistan is the time difference. So you see, right now I think it's 9 o'clock there or 10 o'clock at here in Pasheen, right?
Yeah, it
In the
is
morning,
9:45.
and it's midnight here.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
how would you bring your school kids, at this time?
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time, sir. And
You're
thank you so
welcome.
much. I'm pleased that we heard from you, we listened from you, and we learned so many things from you. The ideas were brilliant. We are proud of you. You are our scientist. You are a brilliant writer. And inshallah, soon I'll read your book and I'll get it from the Amazon. Thank you for your time, sir.
Okay. Let's think that this book, I am I have a friend near Multan,
Oh,
and she
great.
has this. She has this. Excuse me.
Yes, yes, I said great. You have a friend
Oh,
in
you said
great.
great. Okay.
Yeah.
She has started a school where she's teaching underprivileged children.
Mm,
Before these children, they used to work in the fields or at a mechanic, yeah, or as a in restaurants or hotels and things like that. But
mm,
she has opened a school where she's giving these kids education,
right.
and I'm doing whatever I can do financially as well as in other areas. So I sell this book, hundred
Yes.
percent of the profit goes to that school. I don't keep a single penny in my pocket.
Mhm.
100% of the profit proceedings of this book goes to. that school to for education.
I appreciate that. That is your brilliance. Yeah, that's wonderful. You're working, you're still working in Pakistan, you're promoting education, and that is
Ex-
what we need.
Exactly, exactly.
Yes.
That's what Jinnah wanted, and that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that is what we need.
Exactly.
Thank you,
Because
sir.
there's no reason we cannot be competitive. There's no reason we cannot defeat West.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you for your time. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your time. I am quite pleased I had you in my podcast. Sleep well, take rest. I know it's midnight in the US right now and you need some rest. Thank you, sir. Thank
I'm
you so much.
retired. I have all night. Okay. One question is, and then I'll let you go.
Yes.
Um, is there any way I can get a copy of this interview?
Sure. Now, this is live on YouTube and Facebook. I'll take you
Oh,
there. You can download it from my YouTube channel.
okay. All right.
I'll send you the
Do I
link
have
right
to
now.
type in something?
I'll share the link on WhatsApp or Messenger,
Okay. Very good. Okay.
and you can
All right.
download it from there.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Masalam. Allah Hafiz.
Walaikum salam. Thank you so much.